Just a real quick, guys, but over the weekend, the Cavs, as part of their trip to Las Vegas, attended Victor Oladipo's comeback workout. Dan Gilbert has been infatuated, reportedly, with Victor Oladipo for a while now. He has not been healthy. He has not been much of a contributor on the NBA level for a few years, but the Cavs do have one open roster spot left. It'll be a vet minimum slot. Is Victor Oladipo, a former NBA All-Star in his own right, before some injuries took their toll on him, worth a flyer for that final 14th roster spot?
Well, as the Lieutenant General of Project Stockpile, I'm always available to take former All-Stars upon the roster, especially if it's the last one. Now, we talk about injuries. Victor Oladipo is more injured than me. Like, he didn't tore.
He had knees, right?
He had a quad that looked nasty. It was a tough, nasty injury. I think he's had an Achilles injury. I think he's had an ACL and a quad, and he's had a bunch of stuff, man. But you know, when you're the Cavs and you're at this point and doing what they're doing. By the way, I know this is an aside, but I've been watching Evan Mobley packages. I don't know if Mike McNuggets have seen that.
I got some bookmarked. I was trying to get off the interweb during my trip, but I saw a couple, G. Saw a couple.
What are you talking about?
Mobley's adding to the package.
Oh, he's in the lab.
He's in the lab.
With the pen and the pad.
Yes, he had a do-rag on, too. He had a do-rag on. I was like, Evan Mobley got a do-rag on.
Getting tough.
I said, okay, I see what you're doing, big dog. We'll say that a little later.
Neck tattoo comes next.
No, the Tyson face tattoo.
Tattoo neck Mobley is different. That's half of KD's game. So yeah, I'm just excited about that. But
real quick, if he got a neck tat, you know,
I want to see Mobley with a do-rag.
Bull would come in the next day and be like, "Oh, he's got that dog in him." Right. Like that's all he was missing was the neck tat, and Bull would be like,
I saw him. So you got the dog in him now, G. Listen, Oladipo, man, I feel sorry for him because there was once upon a time, way back, and I want to go back to about 2018, first round of the playoffs. The Indiana Pacers, the second version of the Pacers because they had Paul George and them dudes. But Victor Oladipo against the Cavs in that series, by the way, they had full-fledged LeBron. And they had to go to 7 games to beat them. They beat them 4 games to 3 in the first round.
Maybe that's why Dan likes him so much.
He was. I remember that. I'm like, is Victor Oladipo that nice? I thought he had a nice comeback when he was playing for the Heat. Was playing well. But hey, look, man, if they want to bring Oladipo in, I got a problem with it. They could do a lot worse. But you know,
you good, Jay? You like it?
I'm not amused by this.
This is the water, and this is Jason Lloyd pouring cold water on it.
I mean, listen, he's played the equivalent of one NBA season over the last 5 years.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's wild work.
What are you really going to get out?
You're hoping to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, and how often does that actually happen? He's
often.
missed the last 2 years. It's true. Dan did love. This is what's funny about the Cavs. Dan wanted Oladipo. Dan loved Oladipo coming out of that draft. Chris Grant, the general manager, wanted Ben McLemore, and they drafted Anthony Bennett. I mean, it was a bad draft.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a bad draft.
And
Anthony Bennett.
Didn't somebody in the organization want Derek Williams? Like, because it was the Kyrie and the Rivers and Derek Williams one?
I can't put names on it.
Yeah.
But there was it's my understanding there was a strong debate within the organization of going the Derek Williams, Brandon Knight route versus the Kyrie Tristan route, which they wound up going.
And by the way, they made the best decision, and Derek Williams ended up playing for him anyway.
Yeah, he did.
Down the
He
road.
didn't do anything
at all.
But I'm not really interested in this much at all. I don't know what he could possibly have left to give them. I'm looking at that last spot more as a locker room guy really than anything.
He'd be a good locker room guy.
I would rather than
great singer.
I would rather than.
He's got a terrific voice.
I'd rather than bring Tristan back, if I'm being honest, for that last spot, and maybe that's some personal bias.
Is that? Do you think that is an option?
I don't see why not.
I thought he was already part of the. Well, maybe I'm doing the math wrong. I thought you was already counting Tristan as part of it.
No, he's free agent.
Oh, well, I didn't know that changes things a little bit.
I'm with you, Jay. The only thing that I ask is this. What if he's mended?
Yeah.
You're not going to need him to give you big minutes.
No, you need him for April, May, and June.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if he could survive the first 3 or 4 months of the season and still be a contributor when the playoffs start, I'd love to have him.
I hear you.
All those things being true, but you just don't know if he's going to get there.
And I think that's probably why they're checking him out and kicking the tires.
Right. Yeah, I think you're foolish if you don't.
Sure. Like, go look. And I'm sure they're saying, hey, look, all we need him for is May.
Right.
But with him, because he's missed so much time, he does have to play.
Yeah.
You got to get in game shape.
No, that's
so
true.
he does have to. If this was a guy who is just coming off one injury, he was really good last year, missed this season. Yeah. We're talking about like he hasn't played significant basketball in 5 years.
He's played 138 games, Jason, since the start of the 2018 season.
Yeah. I mean, he just hasn't played. So he has to play in order to contribute in April, May, and June. You have to play him.
Do you think they could be thinking about it like this? Well, we got 2 guys on the roster if we take them. We got Lonzo Ball, who got some of the same stuff.
Yeah.
We got Victor Oladipo. If we can get if we can platoon one of them and get some games out of them and get both of them ready for playoff time.
Is he
33?
Okay, I was going to say
32, 33?
35.
He just turned 33.
Okay.
This is, because to me, I look at it like this. I look at this Cavs team kind of in the mode of, remember, it kind of reminded me of 2016 when they just had, they went down to the mat with they had Jefferson and even Dante Jones and the other Jones. And they basically had all these older dudes, right? And they were like, listen, some of these dudes ain't never going to play. Some of them are specialists and some of them is just for the mentality, right? And I look at the Cavs, and I think if you look at their roster right now and the way everybody else is in shambles, I think that they probably are, by far, to me, probably the favorites to get out of the East. And they're looking at these other dudes like, if I can get a couple jumpers from Victor Oladipo in a couple minutes against SGA.
It's enticing.
I think you've already got one reclamation project in Lonzo Ball. You don't have time for 2. You're trying to win a championship.
No, that's a good point.
I
Because
think
if both of them fail, then you got nothing.
Yeah, I think Lonzo's the guy where you can have the conversation of, hey, we can limit his minutes during the regular season in hopes of keeping him healthy for April, May, and June because he's played a little bit more than Oladipo.
Not much.
The fact Oladipo's missed, the last 2 years, I think, like full seasons he's been out of the league.
Yeah, he'd have had.
I don't see.
He'd have to come out. All depending with that workout, he'd have to be. I don't know how they work it out, because I want to see you playing in these workouts. That he's going to be doing 5-on-5 or just shooting stuff.
Probably just a private workout, right? Just no. I don't think he'd be actually playing.
No, I to my knowledge, and I'm not sure about this one in particular, but in general, these kind of workouts are you go through certain drills.
Oh,
no. It's not even really one-on-one.
No.
And I'm sure that there were physicals involved or doctors.
No.
Because that's the big thing. Like
exactly.
if the Cavs medical staff kicked the tires and said, guys, we think he's okay, then I'd be more inclined to take a flyer on him.
I'm totally guessing on this. I'm guessing Oladipo showed up with his own medical records.
Right.
And then if
the
way you said
you have to.
And then if it gets to that, then before a deal is made, the team would get to.
A team wants to get their hands on it.
I'm not laughing at it because I feel like I've done that before.
Sure.
Like I pulled up to UH.
Guys, I'm healthy, I swear.
I pulled up to UH and be like, yeah, this is all my doctor's notes from the Cleveland Clinic. So can we skip all the physical therapy? I just need this surgery real quick. They're like, sir, that's not the way it works. All right, well, listen, call the insurance company, man.
I'm